Hi guys, it's X. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're going to be discussing all the 52 hikes that I went on in 2022. I want to thank Kelly and Dang and David Dang for giving me this video idea. I recently went to dinner with my friends and we were talking about all the hikes I went on, and they were like, it would be a good video. Like, are you gonna give your top 5 or your favorite? And I was like, actually, like, that is a good idea. So if you don't know, my New Year's resolution was to hike a new hike every week for 52 weeks. Well, I probably shouldn't say new hike because some of them I had been on before, but I was just trying to do a different trail every single week for the 52 weeks of 2022. And I shockingly, for the first time in my entire life, completed a New Year's resolution. So I took a majority of the time the same photo, and that was kind of gonna be my goal. Was I would take the camera, put it on the floor, and then kind of take like an upshot of me looking off into the distance. So these are from, oh, my frame came apart. I have one photo for every hike. So one of them, I was in Greece with my husband when I was doing this. So I was like, we gotta find a hike for me to go on because I can't like miss it. So we ended up going to the Acropolis, which is on a mountain. So I counted that as one of them, but we will get to it. So I'm going to talk about every hike name, where you can find it, how much it costed me if I had to pay, what I like about the hike, and then my absolute worst hikes at all. So if you guys want to know my thoughts and opinions, just keep on watching. Before you swipe me away or click me on this video, don't forget to like, comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Okay, so first hike to kick off is Circle X Ranch, and this one is free. You don't have to pay for parking. It is, I believe, in Westlake Village. So if you take the 101 freeway and get off on, I believe you can get off on Lindero, or I believe the street is Westlake. I'm not sure exactly. You can Google it. It is free. There are a couple parking spots. There is like a little cabin when you get there with like a ranger in it, I believe, or like a volunteer, and you can buy water, but it's not always open. There is a camp there. It is a pretty easy hike. I really enjoy that one because I believe you determine your level of difficulty when it comes to this hike. So there is a campground. There is like a actual camp. Like, I don't think it's open anymore, but there is like a building where they like used to host camps. I'm not sure like what kind of camp, but then you go on to the hike. It's a pretty easy trail. However, there is a grotto, so there's like an underwater waterfall. There's an underground waterfall, and until you go see it, like, you'll understand what I mean. But basically, that's where the hike gets difficult. So it's about a mile or two before you actually hit the grotto, and then once you hit the grotto, that's where it becomes difficult. And the reason why it becomes difficult is because you are the one that has to determine your level of difficulty and like strength when it comes to climbing the rocks. It used to be something I was very terrified, but I love this hike specifically because of the rock climbing. It's freehand rock climbing. You don't have to be strapped or anything, but it can get pretty dangerous, especially when it's like wet, moist, and rainy. So just be careful and be cautious of that. And I've never actually fully completed the hike. Like, I don't know where it ends or where it goes. Usually when I get to the grotto and hang out there for a little bit, I usually end up coming back, and that total round trip is like a 3-mile hike. But you can go as far and keep going. I don't remember the longest I've ever been on it, but it's pretty fun, enjoyable, and you do use your full body. So I really enjoy that hike. I want to say that's probably one of my top 5 hikes that I've ever been on. The next one is Chesbro Canyon. So Chesbro Canyon is off Chesbro, off the 101 freeway. So what I learned about this mountain is that it actually is the connector to several different hikes. And like, what I learned from this whole journey is that all these mountains are actually pretty much well connected, and you can travel long and far in the same areas and the same entrances. It just depends on how much you want to hike. One thing I regret not doing is actually writing down like, or keeping track of how long I hiked and like how many miles per hike. So for Chesbro, it was my first time there, and I did not have All Trails app. All Trails, I'm not affiliated with them, but they have saved me so many times. I stopped being cheap and using the free version. I just went ahead and paid the $39.99 for the entire year. And so All Trails, basically, it's pretty simple to use. It's really cool if you're trying to explore their hikes. The only thing that I find downside about All Trails is that I really enjoy hiking alone, and I don't like to go to trails that are very busy or very popular or very like Instagram famous. And because of that, I feel like All Trails has given the ability to everybody to just find all these hikes, and because of that, I feel more and more people are on the trails than normal would be. So I feel like that's the only down part, is that like now everybody knows where they're at, so you won't be hiking alone. So yeah, Chesbro Canyon is pretty cool in the sense that there is a lot of trails that are interconnected into those. So there was a big map that I found, and I remember when I first moved to where I live now, I told my mom one time we were driving, I think I was taking her to Catalina Island this time, and this particular trip, and I was like, Mom, I'm going, like, my goal is to hike all these mountains. And she was like, yeah, good luck with that. And I actually did it, so I was really proud of myself. I was really excited. But I found this map, and a lot of these trails are on it, and like one week by week I just crossed it out until I finished the entire map. So I was excited about that. So the next one is Hondo Canyon. What is this one? So Hondo Canyon is probably, I'm going to say, top 3 favorite hikes. Let's just go over those. So my favorite hike of all time is probably going to be Caballero Canyon, and I'll explain why. Parca Mesa is probably going to be my next one, and my third one is Hondo Canyon. So Hondo Canyon is off Old Topanga Canyon. It is very hard to find. Since it's one of my favorites, I'm not going to exactly give you the directions. You do not have to pay for parking, but you have to know where it's at in order to hike it, because it's not easily found. But the reason why I love this hike so much is because I love things that kind of look like a fairy tale and like an enclosed canopy, and this entire hike is like that. I really enjoy that part of the hike, is that it is just, I feel so many trees, it's so enclosed, it's a very narrow, not overgrown hike, and I love that about it. I have not actually fully completed it because when I did it, I didn't subscribe to All Trails, so I didn't actually know how far or how long or where it ever ended. So I actually have not ever finished the hike. I've actually, in the beginning, because I didn't have All Trails and because these are new hikes and they're scary if you don't know how long they go or where they go to, I actually just hiked the first 2 miles and then would hike back, and that would be a total of 4 miles, which I think is pretty tolerable for just a normal hiking day. So for 4 miles, that's the only amount that I've done. The next one is Red Rock. So here for Red Rock, I really like Red Rock. I would probably say that was like my 5th favorite hike. And parking for Red Rock, so you do have to pay, but because I know the neighborhood so well, I usually park somewhere else where you don't have to pay. So I want to say all these places are about $12 to park. And then the parking at Red Rock is a little dangerous to me. It's a little sketchy. So I just avoid it and rather park in the neighborhood and walk. However, if you walk to Red Rock, you're going to be walking a mile before you actually hit the trail. So what I actually liked about Red Rock is there is this gigantic, huge rock, and I will see if I can find the photo and insert it. It's from years ago, but one time I had this friend, and I had a group of girls, friends that and I used to go hiking a lot, and so we went to Red Rock. The first time I didn't know it was called Red Rock. We went to a different area. I see this huge rock, and I was like, oh my god, I want to climb it, but I was too scared. And so my friend ended up, he lived in that neighborhood and was like, hey, like, where is this rock at? And I was like, I'm really disappointed because I really wanted to climb this rock and I couldn't, like, I was too scared. And he's like, I think I know what rock you're talking about. Mind you, he lived in this neighborhood and like knew this area really well. So he actually took me back to this place, and I didn't go home until I climbed that rock, and I finally climbed it. I have a picture of me where I did climb it by myself, and my friend Rain took a picture of me on top of the rock. So it is very emotional to me because my biggest fear in life, I don't know why, was climbing rocks. Like I always felt like I was gonna fall or like scrape my knee and die. And I don't know, like once I got over that fear, I was like, I fear nothing. Like I just felt so empowered. So yeah, Red Rock is probably one of my top 5 favorite hikes in the world. And the next one is number 5, Santa Ynez. So I've been to Santa Ynez twice. Santa Ynez is in the Topanga State Park. You can get there. Parking can be free or you can pay. It just depends on where you park and where, if you know the neighborhood very well. So Santa Ynez is pretty dangerous. I've been there twice. The first time I literally almost died because I didn't know how far it was. This was pre All Trails days, and it was really hot one day. I went with my Cambro, but I didn't bring enough water, and I literally ran out of water when I came back on top of the hill, like on my way to the parking lot. There is a waterfall, it's a trickle, but it is very hard to find because it is not like a designated trail. You really have to look hard in the ground to find the actual waterfall. And then when you get, there's like a crossing of another hike called Highlands, which I have not been on personally, but I've always seen it, and that is the crossroads there. So it is very beautiful. I love it. I've only been there twice though. It is like a hike that I have to really be motivated to work out, but it's one of those like canopy hikes that I love. Also, during a certain time of the year, there is a lot of poison ivy, poison oak. I'm not sure which one, but there is warnings all over the hike before you even enter. So it's like, it makes me laugh because I'm like, do I really want to go in here if there's all these warnings? The next one is 6. That is this one, and it is Agora Road. So Agora Road, I don't even know the name of this hike. Usually on major hikes, there's a sign that says like what it's called. This one did not have a sign. It had a sign that said there is Santa Monica Mountains. And other than that, like there was no name to it. So I just named it Agora Road because that's where it's at. It was probably one of the hardest hikes I've been on just because it's so steep, it's so uphill. While I was on the hike, there was this older gentleman that I met who was like, hey, do you know if this goes to Phantom? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. So after I talked to this gentleman and he was like, there's hikes in Westlake, there's hikes in like Malibu, like that are really nice. Then I decided to pay for All Trails and stop being cheap and just download it. So it actually does go to Phantom. You can actually go to Malibu Creek State Park from that Agora Road all the way there. So I ended up hiking the entire thing, but Agora Road was really hard hike if you want a really good workout. Number 7 is Morrison Ranch. It was very simple, very easy. What I like about the hike, it's free. But what I like about the hike is that there is science and history of the backstory to it, and it tells you about Morrison's Ranch, and it outlines where his house was. So I really wish like that the house was still there, but it's not. It's gone, but they do have an outline and do have it fenced off where you can't go and see it, but there is history about it, so that was really cool. And number 8 is Fran Pavley Road. This is a cute little nature walk. Like it's very, very simple. I feel like it's free. It is very easy to, I feel like if you just want to get your mind off of something, like it is just a very easy, nice, enjoyable walk in nature. It's like a little bit more than like being at a park, but it's just a really nice walk. So 9 is Liberty Canyon. So Liberty Canyon is off the 101 freeway in Calabasas. However, I went the back way. So I actually went through Chesbro through an unmarked hike and ended up there. So I labeled it that. I like the travel from Chesbro. So there is this horse ranch called Malibu Riders, and it is on the top of Chesbro Hill, and it's behind their ranch. So if you want to park on Chesbro, know that it's the trail that's behind their ranch. It is like a different world. Like what I love about this hike is that when you get there, it just looks like a normal mountain, and then when you go in, it just looks like you're in a completely different area. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it just doesn't look like everything else when you first enter. And then you keep going, you see more hikes, and then there's Liberty Canyon. So I thought that was pretty cool. One thing I will say that I found hilarious was that I found other unmarked trails. So I went back like I think the next day, and I didn't count this as a hike because I was trying to do one a week. So I did like 2 or 3 this week. But I ended up hiking those areas, and it ended up leaving me at this dump site, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what? Like, it is so random to be in this beautiful mountain and then just come across a dump site. And to further go into that, so we're gonna go to number 10, which is Zev Yaroslavsky, I believe. Okay, so this one is off the 101 freeway, and it is off Las Virgenes Canyon, right next to the fire station. I have always seen this hike driving down the 101 and have always wanted to hike it. I was super excited. I don't know why, but this particular mountain and the way the like trees like kind of angle and like their shadow, it just reminds me so much of Africa. Every time I drive by it, I just feel like those are Africa vibes. Like, and so I was so excited to hike this, and I almost got bit by a rattlesnake on this one. So I went up the area, and I go and I hike to the top, and because they're all like interconnected with like Liberty Canyon and all those ones with no name, it left me at this dump site. So I'm walking on the main road now at the top of the dump site, and I was very curious to see how they compress the trash. And then there was this one area of just gigantic and like space full of just tires, like hundreds of tires. I was even contemplating on going down there and being like, hey, can I like have a tire or like buy one off you guys, because I wanted to like hit it with the sledgehammer. And so as I'm walking forward and I'm like looking at the dump site, and literally I don't know what told me to like look down. On my next step, as I looked down, there was a snake in a hole, and only its head was popping out. So I didn't know what kind of snake it was, but now that I'm more educated on snakes, I know that it was a Southern Pacific rattlesnake. So I would have had a really bad day. It would have had a really bad day. I'm so glad that I decided to turn my head on that particular one. Okay, so next is number 11, and that's SCE Road. Okay, so SCE Road is actually Southern California, I believe Edison, the electrical company. So this road is a cross between Chesbro and Las Virgenes. So it is, honestly, it's a pretty boring hike. There's nothing really much to see, and it was just very, very long. From where I started and where I ended it, it was 6 miles, which 6 miles is nothing to me now, but 6 miles to me then, when I was barely starting to hike, was miserable. The longest hike that I had ever been on prior to this was 8 miles, and I was on this hike for 4 hours with my friend Rain, and we were so tired, we were so done. I literally had brand new workout shoes that day when I went with her, and like the label was gone. I had a hole in my shoe. Like, we had hiked so long, and so my body was just not used to this length of hiking. And when I did that trail 6 miles, I was not having fun anymore. I was like, get me the fuck out of this mountain at this point. Like, it was just so annoying. But now that I'm used to hiking longer trails, like my longest hike was 15 miles and it took me 5 hours. So now I'm like used to that. Well, not anymore. In the middle of the year I was used to that. So yeah, that hike was just like nothing to see. It's a great workout, but I would recommend it. I mean, it's free. Las Virgenes Canyon Connector is next. So the Las Virgenes ones, I liked this hike. So I started on Chesbro once again, went to the Las Virgenes Connector, ended at Las Virgenes Street, and then came back. So it was a pretty long hike. It's beautiful out there depending on what time you go, where you go. So yeah, it just depends like where it's at, or where you're going, that this place is, sorry, I'm like reading this text a bit. I got distracted. Depending on the year, the hike is really nice. Depending on which way you go determines on how far you're gonna actually hike. And in this particular area, in this particular time of the year, it was a really nice hike. It was beautiful, the flowers were blooming. I think it was springtime, like it was really pretty. And I don't know why, but at the end of the hike, which is the beginning of the actual hike, if you go through actual Las Virgenes, it smells like sulfur. It smells so bad. And there's like condos there. I don't know how those people live there. The next one is 13, and that is Chesbro Ridge Trail. So Chesbro Ridge Trail is also, getting to there at first is like, like nothing really to see. It's a lot of white sand, like dirt, and then you can, once you get there, you actually see all the mountains. It was pretty exciting to me because I was like, oh my god, like I've already hiked all those mountains. So it was pretty nice. Once again, free parking. The next one is Smoke Tree Trail. Okay, so Smoke Tree Trail, all these are connected. It's the same area, but just very, very long. I want to say most of these hikes could be anywhere from 2 to 15 miles. It just depends on how far you go. Once I started using all trails, I just started breaking it up to smaller areas. The Smoke Tree Trail is actually in a neighborhood, and it's off the street called Smoke Tree. So it was nice. It's free, nice hike, nothing special. What I like about it is that it is interconnected. It is in a neighborhood. I'm always jealous of these people who live at the bottom of the mountain or bottom of a trail. They could literally wake up and just go on a nature walk. So Ranch Connector to Palo Coronado. That one is really nice too. I just think if you really like to hike, you just need to explore Chesbro Canyon because there's so many beautiful trails out there. And this one specifically also reminds me, like, I don't know why, but like looking at the mountains, and this is gonna sound stupid, so until you like actually look at them and you'll see what I mean. There's like either a mountain that's fully green, fully covered in like grass and whatever trees, and then there's a type of mountain that looks more deserty. And I feel like Rancho Connector to Palo Canyon, once you get into that divide, you can, when you look at both mountains, you're like, okay, I can kind of understand, kind of see what you mean. So one side of the mountain's really, really super green, really super pretty, and the other side of the mountain is more like rocky, more like desert vibes, and I felt like that you can see it clear here. Bell Canyon is my next one. That's this one. Okay, I believe that was my 15-mile hike. The reason why it was 15 miles was because it was where I started to where I ended was so far. So this was probably one of the longest hikes that I had been on. I saw a snake on this one. It was a gopher snake. So I actually started getting into snakes around this time, and it was actually after I saw this snake because I didn't know what it was. The first snake that I almost stepped on, I saw, you guys, you know what? I also want to mention that I went on 52 hikes, hours of walking, miles of walking, and I saw hundreds of beautiful birds, several coyotes, which they've never bothered me. I actually love seeing the coyotes, and I see a lot of them in this Chesbro area. I love the coyotes. They're really pretty. They've never bothered me, but I don't hike with dogs. And I don't hike with kids. So they've never approached me, never bothered me. Usually when they see me, they just go the other way. So I've never been scared of them. But they are pack hunters, so I'm always like, where's your pack? Also, I see them during the day, so it makes me really sad when I see them during the day because I think they're nocturnal animals, and if they're awake during the day, that means that the food supply is very low. So yeah, that is one thing that makes me sad about it. Never saw a mountain lion, and I've seen, I want to say, a total of 3 snakes in 52 hikes. So if you don't hike because you're afraid of snakes, it's very rare that you're gonna come across them, at least in my experience. But I will say, so I work with this doctor who made me afraid, like, oh my god, like, you're gonna get bit one day, like you gotta be really, really careful. And I was like, oh, like I started getting scared of going after he was like hyping this up. And I did have a patient who did get bit by a snake, so I was like, oh, maybe I should not hike anymore, or like be more careful. And so I ended up taking this class my friend's husband was hosting on this website on YouTube. I forgot what they're called, some ecology company that hosted him, and I learned a lot about snakes, and actually they fascinate me now. And I'm actually really sad when I don't see snakes when I hike, because I really like them and I like think they're cool animals. And snakes will not bother you if you don't bother them, unless you like accidentally step on them. Like they're not gonna actively come chase you, they're not gonna actively come and attack you. No, it's like leave them alone and they will leave you alone. And every single patient that I've ever treated for snake bite was always because they were trying to touch it, because they were trying to move it out of the way, or they were wanting to pick it up and play with it. Like the only person that I ever treated that was bit by a snake who wasn't actively trying to mess with it was the lady that I recently treated, but that was because she was walking her dog and wasn't paying attention and she stepped on it, and of course it's going to defend itself. So okay, the next one is China Flat. So China Flat, I always wanted to hike. I've seen it. So this is more in the Simi Valley area. It's free parking. There is a neighborhood that you can go through to shortcut it, and it's really pretty once you get to that area of where China Flat is through Simi Peak. It's really pretty out there, really peaceful. I see a couple people on that trail, but not too many. 18 is Upper Las Virgenes Connector. So that I actually, if you go up Victory Boulevard, you can park there and enter, or you can get off Las Virgenes, go all the way to the end of the canyon, and not the beach side, but the other side, and get to the same place. So Upper Las Virgenes Canyon space, there are so many hikes out there. I have not finished them or have not actually gone through all of them. Some of them are a little overgrown, which is a little annoying, but to be honest, no hike in Calabasas has really impressed me. I just don't care for them, and during the summer months when everything is like brown and not green, it's just not as pretty. So I haven't hiked there during like the winter time or the springtime where everything's actually green. So I don't really have any exciting things to like say about those hikes. 19 is Juan Bautista Rec area. Nightmare of a hike. I hated it. I absolutely probably the worst hike in my life that I have ever been on. It is free. It's off Las Virgenes, right at the, like the parking is where this hotel is. It's a really beautiful hotel. But it is severely overgrown. If that doesn't bother you, more power to you. But I've learned like not to wear shorts on these hikes if I go on a new hike, because I just don't like rubbing up against the brush. And it's not rubbing up against the brush necessarily. Some of the plants actually have like spikes and they hurt, but it's more ticks. And I did go home with a tick on this one, and I was livid. Like I was so pissed. The one thing that is cool about this one is it does lead to the Calabasas stairs, which I have never been to, and I was really excited that I found them. It was really cool. I went up the stairs I think like twice, was dead, literally felt like I was gonna throw up, and then had to hike 3 miles back. But yeah, that was probably the coolest part of it. But there are other ways to get to the stairs where you don't have to go through the hike, and my plan for that hike was to do the entire route, but just knowing how overgrown it was, I mean, I missed it. I had to walk back a couple times. I finally met somebody that was on the trail who actually pointed it out to me, and it was like this narrow, so overgrown, and I was like, you know what, it's not worth it. It's just not worth getting bit by a tick. It's not worth getting bit by a snake. So I was like, you know what, I'm just over it. And by the time I hiked back, I was so done with that hike. There was a really beautiful girl that I actually came across, really blonde, pretty girl, who was wearing shorts and like just a sports bra. How this girl survived, I don't know. I also saw a girl wearing full makeup and like high heels. How she survived through this hike, I don't know. But I'm like, maybe I'm just too bougie. Maybe I'm just too bothered by overgrown hikes. But I don't like them because you can't see the trail and it's touching you and rubbing up on you, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't like that. Okay, the next one is 20. And that is Ladyface Trail. Ladyface Trail to this day is the scariest hike I've ever been on. It is free. It is off Canaan Road. You have to park, I believe it's in front of Silver Creek Street, the cross street. I don't remember. You have to know where you're going in order to find it as well, because it's a very small, thin trail and you only see if cars are parked there. So Ladyface Trail, what made it so dangerous in my opinion is that it's very narrow. It's literally cliffside, both sides, and in order to get there the whole time, to actually see the Ladyface, you have to scale the mountain. If you're a professional, if you have great hiking boots, I think you'll be fine. But to this day, I've only gone there once too, so maybe it just seems a little more scary because I haven't been there multiple times, but it is definitely the scariest trail. I didn't end up finding the Ladyface. There is a flag that's on top of the mountain that I don't think I got LASIK eye surgery, so I could see the flag, but like my husband was like, I don't see what flag you're talking about, but from like the street level. But when you actually get to the top, there is a flag, and I wanted to like get to the top and take a picture with the flag, and I couldn't because I was like, you literally have to rock climb. And I was like, there's no way, I don't have any gear, it would be freehand, and no, like nothing's gonna catch you, you're literally cliffside. So I was like, not gonna do it. And I could not find the Ladyface. I hiked all the way down as far as I could to find the rock with the Ladyface, and I couldn't. Okay, so the next one is New Millennium Loop, and that is hike number 21, and that's this one. Also hated it. It is in Calabasas. It is the same entrance to John Bautista. You just go right opposed to left, and same thing. The beginning was really pretty, like at first, because the flowers and everything, there's a lot of wild flowers out there. There's this app, I think it's called iNaturalist, or no, I think it's another one. iNaturalist is where you can like upload if you like spot wildlife. It's pretty cool. But yeah, this one, there is an app where you can like take photos and it'll tell you what plant it is. So it was really pretty to see all the wildflowers, because that was really nice, but it was overgrown, super dangerous, and I was like, ugh. And I came home with a tick on me as well. It was in my hair. I was like, or no, yeah, one of them I came home with a tick on me, and one of them I saw it on my clothes. I started wearing bright colored clothing when I hike because of this, because I want to be able to see their little bodies on me, and I just flick it off. So every time I would get out of a hike, I would definitely shake down my stuff and like look at my clothes and make sure nothing was on me, because I didn't want to bring it home. And yeah, New Millennium, I'm trying to figure out if that was the one. I believe it was. Okay, so New Millennium I didn't finish because of the fact that it was overgrown, and then there was this area where this big like yucca tree was actually covering, and I couldn't proceed. So I ended up driving down the street to Bark Park, and when I got to Bark Park, I went up and I found the Kobe Trail, which I believe is connected to New Millennium. You just can't I just couldn't get there from where I was going. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I was a huge fan of Kobe Bryant, because I wasn't. I thought he was pretty cocky, and I don't like cocky people, and it wasn't until he died that I was like, oh, started learning more that like he actually did a lot for his community. And so I like that about him. And so seeing the shrine and like all at the crash site, unfortunately, and like all the stuff that his fans had left for him was really nice, and that was really sweet. And just seeing his daughter and like seeing how sad it is that like we won't be able to see what her full potential was in her like basketball career, like as a human in general, is pretty sad. So I took pictures of like everything and like video, and I have friends who like love the Lakers and love Kobe Bryant, so I wanted to show them. But it was pretty cool, but it was like really sad. So the next one is 22, and that is Phantom Trail. I believe we're here. Yeah, Phantom Trail. So Phantom was part of the Agora Road. Some parts were overgrown. It's pretty cool. Where you end is on, I believe, Mulholland Canyon. That was also free. Also a pretty tough trail in the sense of like just physical. It's just really up and down. North Grasslands is 23, and I believe that is this one. Also, no, North Grasslands, not one of my favorite hikes. It was also super overgrown in some areas. There's this pretty cool tree where it did have like 3 stumps around it, kind of like where people would tell stories. It was mainly off by Malibu Creek State Park, off Las Virgenes, in that just general vicinity. And then Grasslands Trail. So Grasslands Trail was cool in the sense that it actually leads you to the MASH site. The MASH site is in Malibu Creek State Park, and there are many different ways to get to it. So you don't exactly have to take North Grasslands Trail or Grasslands Trail in order to get there. There are many different ways to get there. I've gotten there 3 different ways now, but that was one of the pretty cool sites to see about it, is because it shows you. They also film Planet of the Apes, so as you're hiking to there, you see the Planet of the Apes film site, and like there's little history behind it. And then once you get to the MASH site, there's like the ambulance, there's these places that look like kind of like a war zone a little bit, and like there's a lot of picnic area out there. There's a few cars out there. Like it's pretty cool. Like that was one of the coolest hikes in that term to see. And so 25 is Upper Zuma Falls. So Upper Zuma Falls is off Canaan Road. It says Backbone on the actual entrance where you park. There is this big like bench with a canopy or whatever type thing that has that name on it. That was a pretty cool hike. That was a really pretty hike as well. There are some parts that were overgrown. I believe I had to pay for that one, so that was like about $9 to $12 for parking. Next one is Skull Rock, I believe. Yeah, that's that one. Okay, so Skull Rock is off PCH, and I believe it's Temescal Canyon that you have to drive up. You do have to pay for parking. There's no way around that unless you want to walk far to get to the actual hike. Skull Rock, when I first got there, I was a little lost because there is several entrances to it. There's also like a camp that is active. I did see like young boys. I don't know if they were like Boy Scouts or what, but there's that active camp. And then I could not find the skull. Like my whole dream was to pick. These are all in Topanga State Park, those. And my dream was to see Skull Rock because I've seen photos of it, and I went through the whole loop and couldn't find it. So I don't know if I missed it. There was one area that like led to a waterfall that I did not go to because it was too overgrown when I saw it, and I was just like, do I really want to hike down there to see this? So I didn't. So I don't know if I missed it on that journey. The next one, 27, is Moosh Trail. This one. Okay, so Moosh Trail, I really like. It is in Topanga State Park. It's by Eagle Rock Trail, so it's kind of the same trail to go to Eagle Rock, but right before you actually start hiking up the mountain to go to Eagle Rock, there is this trail that comes down. It's a little overgrown, but it's very pretty. You do have to pay for parking depending on where you park. You can get away with free parking if you go into the neighborhood, but you have to know your way around the neighborhood. But I really like that hike because like the canopy, there's stairs built into it, there's a bridge. Like it is a really beautiful hike. It's pretty easy. Either maybe moderate depending on your level of fitness. Next one is Paramount Ranch. That's this one. So dark because we went late. So my husband actually went with me on this one. This one was pretty cool. So this one is off, I believe it's off Canaan, kind of in one of the outskirt streets. But what is cool about this is there actually used to be more film sites. Right now they only have the church, everything else, and this one area where you can have a picnic. Other than that, the other like sets burnt down, so that was kind of shitty. You don't have to pay for parking for this one. There are hours, so I think based off like sunlight, but that was a really pretty cool hike. There's also many hikes in that little area. Some parts were overgrown and like a little uncomfortable if you're in shorts. My husband was like not enjoying it when we were in those areas, but seeing the church and like where they film was pretty cool. And okay, 29 is Calabasas Peak. Okay, so Calabasas Peak, if I can remember correctly, is connected to Red Rock, and it's off Stunt Road. So that kind of gets confusing because they look like the same hikes, and to be honest, Red Rock goes all the way to, there's this bench at the top where it leads to that rock that I wanted to climb, and Calabasas Peak comes off Stunt Road, and once you reach the top of that little area, you meet at that same bench. Then you'll see the rock that I climbed, and then you'll, like, once you hit the top, there's so many different routes to reach this one area. So this one in particular, that's how I got there, was Stunt Road. You do not have to pay for parking for this one. However, there's not that many parking spots, so it just depends when you go and how busy it is, or how far you want to walk. It is kind of dangerous because it is, the entrance of the hike is on a curve, so just be cautious when you're parking and walking there because it is blind and these people do not give a shit. My next hike, okay, so I'm gonna be honest and lie, this is in Montenegro. It was Acropolis, supposed to be Acropolis, but I didn't take a photo of my, like, me staring off into the distance, so I did in Montenegro, so I choose that photo. But we went to the Acropolis in Greece. It was really, really beautiful. I mean, what else can I say? Like, it's the Acropolis. Like, seeing Athena's temple and everything was just so beautiful. It is the hike. It's not technically a hike, but you are hiking up the mountain to get there. And it was very slippery. Be careful. Okay, so the next one is Simi Peak. Simi Peak is pretty, you don't have to pay for the parking either. There are many different entrances, there are many different routes to go. So this particular route, I would suggest just using All Trails to figure out which way you're gonna go because there's so many areas that are intertwined. Like China Flat, Bell Canyon, they're all kind of intertwined in that area. 32 is Eagle Rock. Eagle Rock, I want to say, is probably one of my top 10 favorite hikes. There a long time ago, so it's still in Topanga Canyon, still have to pay unless you know the neighborhood. So that area specifically, there is like a guest center, but in order to get to Eagle Rock is intertwined with like the Reseda hikes you can get, and like Cathedral Walk, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But Eagle Rock in particular, the rock formation is just amazing. It's just really cool. You can see the beach and everything. So it's one of those cool hikes. And a long time ago, there's also like a little cave, but a long time ago, somebody actually left like a journal, and you were supposed to like write like your experiences on that hike, and they left it in there, and I thought it was pretty cool, but the journal's gone. It's long gone. I haven't seen it in years, but that was pretty cool about that hike. Okay, so the next one is 33 Cold Creek Trail. So this one is off Mulholland Highway, and this one, I remember being really tired on this one. It was really hot, and I just remember wanting to turn back so badly. I remember being on the phone with my friend, like, I'm on a hike right now and I just want to go home. But this one is intertwined with Calabasas Peak and Red Rock. Like, once you get to the top, it's the same general area. The cool part was that I was like, oh my god, I've hiked all these mountains, and like now I've been on every trail in this one particular mountain. Okay, so the next one is Stunt High. So Stunt High, is it this one? Yes, so this one. So Stunt High in particular is across from Calabasas Peak. Same parking area, however, instead of going up, you're going down. I liked this. It had an underground like water tunnel. That was a little sketchy at first. But then you hike all the way around, cross the road, hike again, cross the road. That's a little dangerous. But there's a school, I'm not sure if it was UCLA or what school exactly owns that area and does like experiments or something in that area. I remember seeing a sign that stated like, please keep out, or blah blah, like or please be respectful like there are cars that come through here. But that was a pretty cool hike, really good if you just want to exercise. No parking fee, but just be careful when you cross the roads because it is in the canyon. It's not blocked off, and some people don't give a shit when they're driving in the canyon. Okay, the next one is 35, and that is Conejo Overlook. So this one is off Agora Road, down the street from, I want to say like LA Fitness, and then it's like just in this neighborhood. You really have to know, you don't have to pay for parking, but like you really have to know where it's at. So I would suggest All Trails for this one. And it is just straight up 2 miles of just rock and stuff. I don't want to say there's like nothing special about this hike. It was just like a cool hike for fitness. It wasn't a very long hike, but when I turned around, I saw these homes and like a lake in the homes, and I was like, I didn't even know that existed. So that was really pretty cool about that hike. The next one is 36 Oak Canyon Trail. Oak Canyon Trail. Oh, okay. I was like, which one is this? Whoever labeled this a hike was high. It is off a park, and it is nothing special. It's actually you walking through this park, and then it leads to one little trail that leads to a bigger trail in the mountains, which is actually the entrance of Simi Peak. So I was so disappointed when I got to this one because it was about 2 miles, but I was like in the mood to hike, really was like, all right, I'm gonna go get this workout done. And when I did it, I was like, this is a walk through the park. I was so annoyed, so disappointed, would not recommend, but you don't have to pay for parking. The next one is 37 Windmill Canyon via Wishbone, and that is number 37. This hike as well, so it's next to a YMCA. It's up on this crazy weird hill. It's off T.O. Boulevard, Thousand Oaks Boulevard, and the thing about this hike in particular, there's nothing to see. It was a good workout if you want to like run up a mountain, and that was pretty much it. You don't have to pay for parking, but you are sharing a parking spot with the YMCA, and like there was 2 or 3, I think, baseball games going on going there, but other than that, it was really nice to see over like the neighborhood, but other than that, nothing special. Okay, 38 is Parca Mesa. So Parca Mesa Overlook is probably my second or third favorite hike. It was the one that I said earlier. So the reason why I like this hike, it's in Topeka Canyon State Park. The reason why I like this one is because when you get to the end, you can see the beach, you can see the 405, you can see downtown LA, you can see Santa Monica, you can literally see everything on a clear day from this overlook. It is a 6-mile hike to and from, and it is probably, there is this one area where the rocks are like, they look purple. It is just beautiful. It is a kind of challenging hike if you're on it because of the fact that it's like up and down in the mountain. Okay, oh my god, this video is gonna be so long. Okay, Lang Ranch. 39 is Lang Ranch. I, to be honest, don't even remember how I got there. Like, to be honest, I remember the hike in particular. Did I pay for parking? And is this one off Keenan or off Las Virgenes? To be honest, I don't think I was like too impressed with this one. I've been really stressed around this time due to work, because that's when I started, around the time I started my second job. So Lang Ranch, don't really remember much of it. So I don't really have much to say. Maybe if I find the photos and like insert them, I'll be able to remember more of it. But let me look on All Trails real quick. Okay, after looking at the photos on my Facebook and Instagram, now I remember. Okay, so no, this was actually in like Simi area, and it is in a neighborhood. That's why I didn't remember. I was like, what? I'm like, I don't remember this one. Okay, I do remember this one. This one is free parking. There's not that many parking spots. You're in like a cul-de-sac in this neighborhood. But what I found funny about this hike, for some reason, every few feet there was like a hole in the ground and there was a lizard like perched out looking at me, and I thought it was so strange and I thought it was so funny, and I actually like had like taken pictures of every single lizard, and I think I saw like 11 of them in a row. So yeah, the hike was like I said, nothing special. It wasn't really memorable, but like I just thought it was like, that was like weird and funny about that particular one. But yeah, I want to say it's in like Simi, Westlake area. I don't remember like how to get there. Okay, the next one is Solstice Canyon. That's number 40. I believe that's this one. Okay, so Solstice Canyon was actually pretty cool. It was off PCH somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. I do think I paid for parking. But what was really cool about this particular hike was that there was history and like a house way in there. And you actually, 2 houses, I believe it is filmed. So I couldn't like go and explore the houses. I didn't want to like even get in trouble because it's under surveillance and like they have people watching. But yeah, there was like this house and it had like this like old Hollywood Hills like vibe to it, and like talked about how these people owned it and stuff like that, and like they had a pool, and then it leads to like this little waterfall and stuff. I don't know, it was just really, really cool. I really recommend the hike. It's really pretty. Okay, so Mesa Park Trail 41. Mesa Park Trail. Sorry, I'm like trying to make sure this wasn't Park of Mesa Overlook. Give me 1 second. Okay, I remember now. Sorry, it's like off Canaan, Mulholland somewhere. I'm like, I don't remember. But it's actually called Mesa Peak Trail, not Mesa Park Trail. It's Mesa Peak Trail. It was nice. It was pretty. I remember taking photos like with the light, and I remember being very, very tired that day as well, and like not wanting to finish, but I did. And then 42 is Temescal Peak. So Temescal Peak, I went through Reseda Boulevard. So I went up Reseda, and then once you're at the top, there's like this round circular area. You park a little bit in front, and then when you get to the top, instead of going left, you go right, and then the first big like opening where you're like not supposed to drive through, because it's like the ranger area, but they usually have it locked off. You go through there, you actually lead to Cathedral Rock. I've been to Cathedral Rock, but I hadn't been past that. So then I went past that this time, and that was what All Trails considered Temescal Peak. And so I did this extra little loop that I never even knew existed, and then saw all the other hikes that I had never even been on. So that one was pretty cool. I had been to parts of that before. If you haven't seen Cathedral Rock, it is really pretty. It's not typically named Cathedral, like it's not named Cathedral Rock, but when you look at the little information when you get there, it says like the rock looked like a cathedral, so that's where like the nickname come from. You don't have to pay for parking if you park farther from the entrance, but look at the signs, because there are certain places where you do have to park and pay in the same little area. So the next one is the Nalden Caves, and yeah, that's this one. You can't see anymore. We're down here now. Okay, oh my god, we're almost done, I swear. Okay, so the Nalden Cave, you can go either through Vinalden. I went through Reseda, walked to Vinalden through the All Trails app. What it said, it is pretty cool. What I don't like about it is the graffiti. I hate that people like damage things with the graffiti, but some people like that stuff, so I don't. I was shocked when I did go there. It was a little eerie, a little creepy. I was like, ugh, I hope I don't find or run into anybody doing drugs or like drinking right now. Like, it is, I feel, the perfect teenage getaway place where people go and smoke weed and get high. And so I was just thankful that when I went, nobody was there. I was able to enjoy and explore the cave on my own without anybody bothering. And then I quickly left because that's not my vibe. I don't like the beer cans on the floor. I don't like the graffiti. Like, I like the greenery and like the niceness of that stuff. I don't go hiking to get high and drink. Okay, so the next one is Canyon Back Nike Loop, and that is number 44. That one. Okay, so that one, sadly, somebody recently got raped, and I want to say on the trail, and I want to say it was that trail. This one in particular, I've been to Nike before, but I went through Reseda in order to get to Nike, so the hike was a lot longer. This one, what I did not like about what All Trails sent me to is it was really, really strange. Like, you went to Nike, it's an old missile launch site. It's pretty cool to like see the history about it. Then you go down to this area, and then it like leads you to this one place that you're like, okay, there has to be like beautiful views, right? Because why am I gonna hike to this one like runoff? Because usually it's a loop, and then there's like a runoff. So I go to the runoff, and I'm like, there's just this big transformer like electrical area, and I'm like, nothing to see here. Like, why did I even hike here? And then when I went back up, what I didn't like is that when I continued the hike, the loop part was through a neighborhood. I crossed the street to another neighborhood and then found the trail to head home. So honestly, that particular Nike loop wasn't my favorite, and I didn't enjoy it too much. The next one is Zuma Ridge Trail, and that is number 48. This one was off Canaan Road, off PCH. There was a ton of hikes there. There were people who were like building this house. So it was really interesting to see like them doing that. And then the views were absolutely beautiful. The hike itself was like, whatever. Like, I feel like a lot of these hikes that were just not worth it were like, well, at least I got a decent workout. So yeah, that's how I felt about that one. The next one is, oh no, hold on, oh my god, did I miss you? I missed so many. No, I'm tripping. Okay, so this was Canyon Back. This was Inspiration. Oh my god, how did I do this? No, I'm so dumb. Okay, Benalden Cave, Canyon Back, Nike. I skipped 4. Inspiration Loop, sorry. So Inspiration Loop was also off PCH, I think around Temescal area. Did I cross? I feel like that one I crossed, why am I blanking on this major street name? Santa Monica Boulevard? I don't remember. No. What is that? Whatever. Anyway, what was cool about this hike, what I didn't like, I did have to pay for parking. Also, I didn't like part of it was closed. What I did like about it is when you got to the top, the Inspiration Loop part is like all these different benches, and they each have a different quote. So that was like really cool about that. 46 is Los Leones Trail. That's this one. I can't believe that I forgot about that. Los Leones Trail, I also believe was, I didn't have to pay for parking. There was this big sign in the front. It's across the street from a church, and when I went in, I liked that one. It was very narrow, not overgrown, but unfortunately there's a lot of people on this one. But that one leads to the backside of Parca Mesa Overlook. So if you've ever gone to the top of Parca Mesa Overlook, and before you go to the actual overlook, like there is this porta potty that's there. So if you've never gone further past the porta potty, actually that's where this leads. So this leads to Los Leones Trail, which goes all the way down to PCH. So that one I had to pay for parking, but it was really nice. The next one is 47, and that's the Cistern Trail. Okay, I have to look this one up because I don't remember. Okay, sorry, I had to look it up because I was like, I don't remember. Okay, so Cistern Trail is this one. Now I remember, I like this one. It is also in Malibu Creek State Park. It is just off the road So you do park on Mulholland Highway. It is free, but there's not that many parking spaces, and you have to be careful that people aren't gonna kill you with their car when you're walking towards it. So this one is also one of the ones that you can walk to the MASH site. It actually did have me cross to the MASH site, but what I didn't know is it actually takes me, if you've been to Malibu Creek State Park and you've been to the rock pool and you've been to like the dam, this takes you through to the back of the dam, which I've never been to there. I also have not been one to really explore Malibu Creek State Park in that like detail. Like I've been to some of the major hikes there, but like not, it hasn't always been my focus. So I had never been on this particular like backside of the dam, and there was a lot of birdies playing in the pond, which was pretty cool. Okay, so 48 was Zuma Ridge, and we talked about that one. That was the one with was that the one with the house? I don't remember. There was a couple in Zuma that were pretty cool, and a couple of them, wait, Zuma, Calabasas Peak. Yeah, so don't really have much to say about this one. 49 is Calabasas Peak. Okay, so 49 is called Calabasas Peak. It's the same one that's like on Stunt Road. Okay, so I have two of them that are kind of named similar, and that is because what was the other one? Calabasas Cove Creek, Calabasas Peak. So 29 and 49 are kind of similar. Okay, so one of them you go up through Stunt Road. The other one that I said were all intertwined, I actually call this hike Summit to Summit because it's on Summit Street, but it's on Old Topanga Canyon Road. So this one you also have to really know where you're going in order to find it. It's not on all trails. This is a hike that I had to like name myself because I was like, where do I find this trail? Like I couldn't find it on all trails, and it's also in the beginning of someone's house. So unless you know where you're going, like you're not gonna find this trail. But I like this one. This one has several, once I got on all trails and like saw the map, there's so many different trails out there, and they all lead to the same Calabasas Peak, where like Red Rock and Stunt High and all that meet. Okay, so 50 is Caballero Canyon. Yay, we're almost done. Okay, 50 is Caballero Canyon, and Caballero Canyon is just my all-time favorite hike. It is the one that's like near and dear to my heart, my favorite hike to hike. And the reason why is because when I was an LAPD Explorer, and I think I was 15 or 16 years old, like one of the police officers took us there, and it has just been my favorite hike ever since. Like it is really tough going up, it's very hard coming down. It's a great workout. There's a bench there you could sit at. I've seen multiple cars hidden in these areas. Like I'd have to go with you to show you where the cars are, but they're hidden. I've seen 3 so far, a pink one with little characters on it and 2 blue ones. And yeah, it's just like really cool. Unfortunately, because they've done such a good job with cleaning up the brush so that we didn't have fires here, you can see the cars a little bit better, you can see the trail a little bit better. So because of that, I feel like it kind of took the mystery away from it. But that was like, that's still my favorite hike in the world. Like it is like where I used to go when I was stressed, when I was living in that neighborhood, and it just is still my favorite hike. I love how easy it is to access it. There's no parking that you have to pay for. There's so many hikes in that area that you can go to, and to this day it is still my favorite hike in the world. Okay, the next one is Escondido Falls. I can't even begin to tell you how much I hated this trail. And the reason why is because, wait, was that Willow Creek or Escondido? Hold on, let me figure this out. Okay, I found where the problem is. This is Escondido Halls. This is my final one, but I flipped the photos. That's why I was like, I wasn't wearing that when I went to that trail. That's why, sadly, I know what I was wearing at each trail and how to get there. But Escondido Falls, I did not like at all. And the reason why was because you have to park a mile away from the actual hike itself. Did I pay for parking? I don't remember if I paid for parking. I want to say I did. But what I didn't like about it is that you have to walk a mile through a neighborhood that clearly does not want you there. It's like a really wealthy neighborhood. And everybody has like a keep out private property sign. And then once you actually get there, the hike is not that long. It's really, really pretty once you get to the actual hike. And there is a waterfall that is a little bit more than a trinkle, and that part is pretty cool. But other than that, like, I don't think it was worth the parking. You do pay for, wait, where's that flow? I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry guys, I went to 52 hikes. I'm like trying to remember which one each was. But yeah, I don't think I would have paid for, wait, this is yes, I did pay for parking. It's off PCH, now that I remember. And it is the All Trails app, actually, the street, I think it's called like Winding something, but the street that All Trails tells you to go on is not the street that it actually is. But you do pay for parking. There it is. I paid for parking on PCH, but I had to walk a mile through the neighborhood in order to get to the actual hike. And I was like, it's just simply not worth it. Okay, my last and final hike is Willow Creek Trail. So this one is at Little Carrillo State Park. I did have to pay for parking. I paid for the full day. This was a 7-mile hike. I had not been on a 7-mile hike in a very long time, and it was all uphill. So I've been to this place before because my mom actually took me camping there with my friends years ago. So I already knew where it was. And so you hike up this trail. So it's Willow Creek to like Nicholas Flats or something like that. So you go up around this mountain and then it like loops around. So I went up this way and then came down the opposite way. But anyway, you loop around, then it goes straight up. I was so tired. I did not want to do the whole thing. But I was like, oh, come on, I'm already here. And on All Trails, it has your GPS. So I was like, I can't be a fake and a phony. Like, if I don't do this, people will find out. They can't know. So I was like, okay, I'll tough it out. And I did it. And this one was pretty cool because at the top there is like a creek. And there is like a pond. And I saw birds and like stuff there. It is flat up there for some reason. And then you come back down the mountain and then you loop around. So when I was coming back down and looped around, I thought it was pretty funny because I smelled somebody cooking in their campground. And I was like, oh, I could just go sit there and eat with that man. So it was really, really cool. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I highly suggest you get All Trails. Highly suggest you don't hike alone, even though I'm a hypocrite and I do. But I always carry a knife, a stun gun, and pepper spray with me, just in case. Always bring enough water, always bring a snack just in case you get lost. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys hit your New Year's resolutions, and I'll see you next week. Bye!